celebrating the show, the photographer show. We went there.
And it's just like this. The food comes like this.
They're very good and very nice.
Okay, we can start with that. Okay.
Yes.
I would like you to.
Wait, what is this for?
Well, I usually make some interviews to people just for my files.
Okay.
But sometimes I publish it. Sometimes not. It depends on the. It depends on if somebody is interested. Maybe.
Very good.
I would like you to explain me how this project, the Madrid project, came. How was the first idea?
Okay. Oh, I was in Poland and I was late for an airplane from Poland to Madrid, so I had to fax them. I had to fax them Madrid to tell them I was late. That I would be coming in late on my plane. So that's how the idea came about. To the fax, I had to fax them to tell them I was late, so I said this would be a good idea for the exhibition, to have fax machines in the space.
But you knew the space before?
Yes, I looked at...
You had idea?
No, I mean, yes, no, I had no idea what I was going to do. I had many ideas, but I had to decide as I was coming from Poland to Madrid, the idea crystallized. No pun intended.
And did you know the Palacio de Cristal Palace before?
Yes, I have drawings and blueprints, and I've been thinking about this show for a whole year. I had come a year before, but I still hadn't resolved the idea of what to do in the space. I knew the space had to be completely void of objects because it's very strong. It's a very strong space. So I thought to do something to make as little gesture as possible, because the space is very dominant. So I wanted to put as little as possible in the space to make it almost invisible, my art, so the space could have more beauty.
Did you know the city before?
No.
You was asking for the project?
No, that's not my job. My job is to know the space and to come in and conquer that space if possible, to win in the situation.
What do you think about the city, about Madrid? I mean, I'm asking because I think your projects, as far as I know, are very connected with the environment, with the surrounding.
Right.
So, what do you think about the city?
It's a very beautiful city, a European city, very old. Today I was walking, it's very nice to see the people casually, non-stressfully hanging out in the cafes, compared to New York, which is very stressful. So it's a very beautiful city. And I've been to some bullfights. So it's a part of the city, part of the culture.
I think I read once that you thought that, in your own words, I think it's hard to deal with the white cube. I think you.
Yes, yes.
What was your relationship with this space? I mean, I would like you to tell me more than you told me before.
Well, again, the space is a great challenge to come into this kind of space. So the challenge is very difficult because it isn't a white cube. It's like a spider web. And it's very, very difficult to, it's almost impossible to win in this situation of the Crystal Palace. So I was thinking of doing an exhibition with smell. When you come in, there'd be an odor, And the odor you would be the, instead of something for the eye, it would be something for the nose, another sense. You know, instead of the eye, using the eye to visualize the exhibition, you would smell the exhibition, and it would be even more invisible if it was a smell, and that would be the exhibition. That was my second choice. Also, I had an idea of knocking out windows, broken glass, to throw stones through the windows. Because there's a saying, people who live in glass houses should not throw stones. So I had planned to throw many stones through the windows of the Crystal Palace, and I found out they were made of plastic instead of stone. So I was unable to use the stones. So I had, you know, different ideas of what to do, but you know, fax machine, I have a fax machine in my studio in New York, and lots of faxes are on the floor, because I don't, you know, I come there maybe once a week. So the idea came from it was a very spiritual way that the idea came, this project. It wasn't intellectual, it was more spiritual, how I arrived at this solution to the problem. Plus paper, I love paper, it's a very beautiful material. And it was a chance to still hold on to an art concept of paper. You know, and I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, because it's not an academic way I don't work in an academic way. I work in more of an intuitive, improvisational way. So it really was like heaven sent, the idea, but I'm open to something to come from a higher force than my intellectualness. So it was given to me by the grace and the glory of the Almighty, I guess I would say. So like I'm getting an award. They're always praising God for things. But it was a God-sent solution to this problem.
Did you ever work before in a more or less close to this project? Did you have any other project close to it?
Well, all of my work, hopefully, is close to this kind of project. Very open and you know, it's very spiritual, I think this project is. I like my work to have a spiritualness to it, and very light, you know, very Zen or Taoist kind of emptiness to it. I'm working with a lot of emptiness projects. There's so many artists around, there's so much art. I think the absence of art in a museum space can be very strong, because our memory is very strong. So the memory of art I'm very interested in, opposed to the object, because we're very advanced mentally, and objects are sometimes can slow down our mental thought patterns of memory of art. So the memory of art, I think, is very strong and doesn't get to be experienced often. Like I can talk to you about making a painting, and you'll actually see that painting in front of your eyes as I speak to you, or a piece of sculpture. That's how far along we are in, like, you know, if, for instance, when you read a book, you see images. So I'm speaking more of telling stories or the absence of art, so the story in the mind can be stronger.
And I know some of your early, works you did before, but I don't know, maybe there are some projects that you connect the people who are not in the space with the space. It was new for you, or are there other projects? You know what I mean? To connect the space, to connect the project with people who are not in there. You know what I mean?
No.
Okay, let's do.
Milenia, Parlez-vous, can you come here and help?
Is it the first time that you do interaction?
Yeah. Thank you, Maria.
Well, you always interact. When people come to the space, they interact.
Yeah, but
Even if it's sculpture or painting, there's an interaction. But it wouldn't be a physical interaction. It would be more visual. But this one is more. No, this is global. This is a global interaction, which is universal. You know, very much like a telephone. This is very new for me. I'm very much interested in this, where I am right now, artistically. I think I'm at the height of my game, as they say in sports. No, this is the best piece I've ever made. I do very good work outside of America.
Why, you think?
The environment is much more interesting to work in. There's much more interesting, and the audience is more perceptive, I think. There's more to feed off of. It's much more interesting. Like, I could never do this in America. In a million years, they would never have an art environment like the Crystal Palace. That's quite unusual.
And is it the first time
to show in a space like this.
Is it the first time you work in this way?
Yes. Yes, the space demanded something very special. It demands a very special, and I had a very special musician come who will be performing here. Butch Morris, he'll perform on Sunday. And it should be very interesting.
And what do you think is the direction of the public has been?
Very responsive. But this public is my second or third, that's not my primary interest, is the public. But, oh yeah, on this one, it was my, no, it was, in this situation, I needed the public. You know, this is very important, the public, in this particular piece, because it was a call for the public to participate. But normally the public is not my primary interest, except for this piece was calling, you know, I needed the public to fulfill this, to make it work. But the result has been very good by looking at the faxes. And I also send faxes in from New York, I send them in.
Which is normally your main interest, if not the public?
My main interest is conquering my idea, you know, making my idea sound. To be true to the art, not to the public.
And do you consider yourself as an artist who is interested in the social environment?
In the environment?
In the social daily life and on politics and...
Yes, very much, very important.
And I would like to you to talk to me about your beginnings, your starting point, because I think you studied in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Do you think it was interested to you? It was important for you to, I mean, for your training or your childhood as a, no your childhood, not your aprendizaje,
Sí,
You're
apprenticeship,
What?
artistic.
when you started.
To
study in Los Angeles, it was important to determine your attitude toward the art?
Well, I've always been an artist. I was born an artist, which is quite different than being trained to be an artist. It was a gift. It's been a gift opposed to a profession. So it's always been there, but I learned how to develop it over the years, to refine it. So it's come very easy for me making art.
Was it important for you to be in Los Angeles?
No. It wasn't, but I ended up there. Guess I was supposed to be there. But it could have been happened anywhere, but that's the goodest place as any. I'm glad I'm not there now. It's a good place to be, but I wouldn't want to live there.
And why did you choose it?
I didn't choose it. I went out to go to school. I wanted to be academic, like everyone else. But sometimes being an artist can be a curse. It's not a pleasurable thing to be an artist if you're not successful at it. I know many people who aren't successful who want to be successful, and it's very unhealthy to watch my friends who aren't successful in being an artist. But I was one of the lucky ones to be it. I found out it's very good. It's a good job. It pays very well, being an artist.
And you moved to New York.
Yes.
Why?
Because Los Angeles is cinema town. It's for my bodyguard. That's where he should be. Out there, it's where the movies. It's Hollywood. It's not for fine art. It's a different scene. So it took me 8 years to find this out, that I was in the wrong location for art. So I went to New York, where it was much more lucrative, much more. The standards were much higher than in the West Coast.
Yeah. Let me check one thing. I think you were in you were in visual politics in the museum, I think. One exhibition called Visual Politics.
Visual politics?
Yeah, I think.
Well, most of my work is political. It has been over the years.
And I think it's the right way to consider your work.
Well, I'm not. It's changed over the years. Now, the piece I'm doing now is not political. You have to continue to grow. You can't stay in one spot. You can't stay politically correct or something. So I'm really bored with making political art. I have been for a while. So that's past. That's the past. I'm looking to the future and see what happens after this exhibition.
Mm-hmm. Well, which are your following projects?
I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for a message from the Almighty to direct me.
But I think you have one show in Berlin and in Netherlands?
No?
No? I read it, you had.
I had one in Poland, my last exhibition.
Okay. And last question, are you afraid or do you care about your work like this in the Crystal Palace only survives in the memory or in paper, not as a specific piece or a material piece?
I prefer the memory. After this exhibition, we're going to make a book from the faxes. We're going to collect them and make a book of the faxes. And that would be the memory. But I preferred not to. I'm working on a show in Poland, and I don't want to have a book. And then those who saw it, then it becomes like a cloud, or a sunset. Those who see it saw it, those who don't see it. So it becomes not so much of a. I don't like to see books in bookshops on my work. I think there's too many of these, and now they're decoration or they're boutique items. A bookstore and a museum is now a boutique. The information isn't. I don't like art books anymore. They're just too many, and they're too. So I prefer the memory over a documentation, or the lack of the memory, or the absence of the forgotten. Because if you want to survive, you have to create new ways of surviving in the art world. And these old ways aren't working anymore. They just become another object. So I'm always thinking of new ways of surviving in the system And I don't think books do that anymore. They become just another object to look at while you're having a coffee.
And do you feel yourself part of one history or part of the contemporary art? I mean, there's one relationship between you and, I mean, I don't know, the Povera artists or...
No, I prefer being a part of the mystery over the history. I think it's much more interesting. You know, we can say art de povera, or we could say Dadaist or Surrealist, but it's good to, these are, it's luggage, you know, holding on to movements, but I prefer to be a part of a mythicalness, if you would allow me to, opposed to being a part of a history, or maybe a part of her story, opposed to a history.
Okay, thank you very much. ¿Te puedo hacer una pregunta a ti, David?
¿A mí?
Sí, porque como sobra un poco de cinta. Sí,
Pero yo no pinto nada.
Ya que estoy ahí. Es que sobra cinta.
Pero ¿cómo contestaré mejor que él?
No, es solo una cosa, otra.